Hello everyone, PraisGood here, and welcome, well, to Metroid 5. Wow, that was really a lot of dead air there, wasn't it? I wanted to keep up this trend of doing Let's Plays of the main Metroid entries. Pretty much everything that's not Metroid 1, 2, Return of Samus, Super Metroid Fusion, or this game is technically considered a spin-off title. I think that does include the Prime series. But I wanted to try and keep up the trend of doing blind Let's Plays of the main series Metroid games, because I started it a while ago. And I even did so in the fact that I took to Twitter and asked, hey, should I continue to play this game series blind, or should I just play it on my own because I really want to play it? To give you folks a time frame of what we're dealing with right now, at this exact moment, it is about 28 hours after the launch of Metroid Dread. I'm going to delete the save data because that's from the Think Fast video I did last night when I first got my hands on it. And we're going to start with a clean slate. So, what you should know going into this, what I'm going to say, this is a bit of preamble, what I'm going to say going into this is, this is not my first Metroid rodeo, thankfully, but this will be my first time through Dread. But because I did record the video, the Think Fast video on Metroid Dread, I know roughly the first half hour of game and what that all entails. So the first episode or two of this is going to go pretty quick. Well, quick-ish or knowledgeable-ish. But after that, I will be blind. I will also try and go for 100% items. Will I be scummy and refer to a guide if I get stuck on finding some of them? Yes, but I believe 100% item completion may be a little easier around with a feature we'll see shortly. And I should probably say at this point that right now, as it sits right now, my favorite Metroid game in the series that I've played so far, which basically includes 2, Other M, Super, and Fusion. Fusion is probably my favorite of the Metroid games I've played. So if anybody coming in here wondering on that stuff and whatnot, you have that to work with. Now I will tell you, thankfully, the game does start off with like a little recap on what Metroid as a series is, from like roughly Super Metroid forward. The Metroid. A virulent floating organism
that drained energy from its prey through the physical contact. Metroids were originally created by the Chozo and named after their word for Ultimate Warrior. Their value as a bioweapon sparked several crises, and as a result, all traces of them have been eliminated. They are now extinct.
The X-Parasite.
A gelatinous parasitic organism indigenous to the planet of SR388. It could absorb the DNA of its hosts, living or dead, and replicate its form. When infecting a living host, it could even access the host's memories. X-parasites are driven not by emotion, but by an instinctive need to replicate and spread to an increasingly stronger host. Their inability to be controlled mark them as even more dangerous than their sole predator, the Metroids. Like the Metroids, they are believed extinct. With no Metroids surviving on SR388, it became infested with the X, horrifying parasites capable of imitating any living being. Unaware of this, I set foot on the planet, got infected, and almost died. The only thing that saved me was a vaccine created from the Metroid DNA, which also left me uniquely able to oppose the X. This ability was tested immediately when I went to the Biological Space Laboratories research station to investigate a distress signal. There, I battled many powerful X forms, including the SAX, which was X mimicking me in my power suit at full strength. I eventually eliminated the X menace on SR388 by setting the BSL research station on a collision course with the planet. After that, the X and Metroids were just memories, or so we thought. Just when it all seemed over, the Galactic Federation received a mysterious video transmission. It showed an X, alive and in the wild. Thorough analysis proved the video was real.
Although the sender was unknown.
The transmission was traced to a particular planet. It was called ZDR. If the X had somehow escaped extinction out there, they would pose a threat to the entire galaxy. The Galactic Federation dispatched a research team of 7 Emmy to investigate. An Emmy is a large research robot designed to capture field samples and extract their DNA. Their incredible mobility and protective plating, made of the strongest stuff in the universe, practically guaranteed the mission's success. But not long after their arrival on ZDR, all communication was lost. What is happening on ZDR? Is the planet really infested with X? As the only one immune to the parasites, it's up to me to go there and find out.
So you've been given basically a rough brief on the post game of Super Metroid, what happened in Fusion, and finally the story leading into, well, Metroid Dread. Now I'm probably gonna be quiet here and there because there is some voice acting, though minor, so I'm probably gonna be quiet for it. I know where the first couple of instances of it occur, but after, like I said, after that roughly first half hour mark, I'll probably start being more quiet as we play. Or won't know exactly when it's going to happen, rather. I can words.
We'll soon be entering ZDR's atmosphere.
The bounty for this mission does not seem appropriate. Clearly outweighs the reward. Treat our lost assets with care, lady.
Entering the atmosphere in T-10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That elevator leads to the depths of an underground facility. Signal quality is likely low. Remote communication remains zero. Try to connect to the facility's network when you reach the bottom. That way, can gain in contact. Any objections, lady?
So, a little bit of thing lore-wise that I've been made privy of over the last few months that I guess I want to dive into really quick here is plot-wise, what we knew about this game, what we know about this, or what we knew about everything leading up to this game that wasn't ruined for us by game trailers is, as far as Samus knows, the Chozo, the ones that took her in when her parents were both killed by Ridley, the Chozo who took her in have been seemingly deemed extinct shortly after she was raised by the Chozo and then set free to join the Galactic Federation for proper combat training. So the fact that there is a Chozo, or what is believed to be a Chozo at least, here, and it sees Samus as a threat, even though Samus is using their power armor, a variation of it rather, is a really interesting idea that maybe there are other factions of Chozo that were not accounted for, or this is a Chozo that has slid under the radar that isn't part of the same faction that Samus was raised by. Or simply she wasn't, what do you want to call it, recognized with her current look. Anyway, it's a Metroid game, but the controls for it are a little bit different than most Metroid games. And there's some things that I have had to learn to get used to that haven't been in any other Metroid game since. Kind of as I blaze through there. So, for one, left trigger is a slide. Either you have to, I believe it's either you have to be up against the wall and hit left trigger, or you have to already be moving and hit left trigger. Left bumper is an aim module. You cannot use the right thumbstick for anything, at least not right now. Left thumbstick and the bumper will let you omnidirectionally aim to shoot. Right bumper is your missiles. Basically, anytime you're holding that right bumper, that's missiles. Same thing from Fusion, so I'm already on board with that. Right trigger does nothing, at least right now. Y button shoot, and we don't have anything else with Y button. I'm holding it to shoot. I'm holding it to try and charge up. We don't have that. We don't have morph ball because I'm hitting down. Huh, I never tried to just crouch. So crouching, how it happens is you just tap straight down and you go into crouch. Well, I found the map expansion button. I'm trying to use the D-pad for movement, and that's not a thing. You can move and aim while you shoot, but it's very impractical, at least in what I've experienced so far. B is jump. B is your jump button. You do have wall jumping enabled right out the gate. But I will also tell you that wall jumping... Dang it. I will also tell you that wall jumping is not like how Super was. It is very much akin to how Fusion was, where if you wall jump off of a wall, you don't get that bounce back. You don't get that moment of... Oops. If you do jump off a wall, you basically are in a predetermined arc for the entire length of that wall jump. So there's no tricky triangle jumps for sequence breaking. And an enemy that was in the ground hurt me.
Uploading data.
So, you've accessed the network station. Well done, Samus. I have reviewed your vital signs and video log from the data you uploaded. I've run a full analysis, but I cannot account for why you lost consciousness. My readings indicate dramatic physical changes in you. Whatever caused these changes seems to have stripped you of most abilities. You might call it physical amnesia. That brings me to your assailant. I am checking the Federation database against your video log. It appears to have been a Chozo. The attacker's identity is not yet clear. I have determined that you are somewhere within the depths of ZDR. Your top priority should be to return to your ship on the surface. This situation is precarious. Trust your instincts as you navigate upward. This planet appears to consist of multiple areas. Shuttles, elevators, and other modes of transport connect them. Keep an eye out for ways to reach the surface. The ship's location is marked on your global map. Check it for yourself. You may encounter pockets of low temperature. Your Metroid DNA renders you vulnerable interferences preventing radio transmissions. Check in with me at any network stations you found.
And this also doubles as our save point. Now, before I continue talking about buttons and controls, I want to also go a little bit lore-wise, because oddly enough, having played Other M, I know a little bit of the lore involving this. So, the computer named Adam isn't just a cute name, and is also not just a carryover from Fusion. Adam Malkovich, it was Samus Aran's CO. I don't know if in canon timeline Adam Malkovich was also disposed of in some act, basically in front of Samus at that or when they were in the same vicinity. But the computer Adam replicates as many personality quirks that Adam Malkovich had when he was a real living person. So when he finishes commands or statements with lady, that's how Adam used to finish off mostly rhetorical questions to Samus. So if the computer seems a little jarring with its dialect pattern, it's because it's still acting on the code of it's Samus's commanding officer, as well as main computer to help her with missions. So, one last button that I did on accident that I should show off is X. This is a melee counter button. It was added in, series-wise. It was added in with the 3DS remake of Metroid 2. It is a counter that allows you to counter and then blast something when it's stunned. The game's gonna show it off right now, actually. I didn't try and time that at all. So melee counterattack, and then if you do the timing just right, you can do, if you counter at just the right minute, you can press the shoot button to get like if you press shoot at just the right time, you can get a powered up shot that does more damage than your normal shots. At least that's what it feels like. So the only problem I have with this is I have terrible reaction timing. So 9 times out of 10 when I do that, it's going to be purely on accident. Anyway, so I talked about wall jumping and how it worked, and I guess I have a moment to show it off here. So again, wall jumping. Wall jumping is basically brush up against the wall and pushing away from the wall and jumping at the exact same time is roughly the timing for wall jumping. And like I said, for longer Metroid fans, it reflects how reflects closely to how it works in Fusion rather than Super. So you wall jump, that's it, the wall jump is over. Also, this is a feature here that will basically help with item collection, is this blinking. So if on the map, and I believe this works on the I believe this works on, I gotta look through all this here. Okay, nothing else here. So I believe this also works on the minimap. Yeah, so if a section of map is flashing on the minimap, that means there is an item hidden in the area you're currently standing in. And in this case, it's a missile upgrade. Now, I already talked about missiles, and we do start with 15. Dang it. There's no way to bounce back from this. I see the block I have to shoot. Okay, never mind. I can't actually get up there. So I'm pretty sure there's an item in this room, and how to get it is at the top of this ramp. But basically, from what I've played so far of the game, we will not be able to get that for some time. So just go ahead and fall down, because we're going to get cutscened into, well, what was basically our first trailer for this game when it was announced, well, at time of recording earlier this year. This is one of the Emmy that the game has been talking about. And for some reason, the Emmy see us as a threat. I try to slide through. So, here's the thing with the Emmy, and we'll get into more of this later on. But how the Emmy work is they will seek you out to destroy you, no matter what, unless there is something that physically bars them from following you down a certain path. If they catch you, you do have what is believed to be 2 chances to survive their assault. But if you fail either of those 2 chances, it's game over. It doesn't matter how much health you have. It's basically the melee counter button. And go ahead and just slide away and get out of here. So at this point, you want to just run. Now thankfully this particular Emmy is very much neutered, as we'll say. It can't follow us, so we are safe for the time being. But that's going to lead us into a mechanic that I think is the last thing I'll probably touch on for this video, that I think is going to be kind of the flow for combat, so to say, or the flow of the game throughout the rest of the game. So what will happen is we will see something that is going to be like this, the central unit, and we will get access to the Omega Blaster. Basically, when we have the Omega Blaster, it goes to this over-the-shoulder view for Samus. We press left bumper to aim, right bumper to charge. When charged, fire. And it shoots a blast that is horribly destructive in nature. But the Omega Blaster has a caveat to it. Well, I should say, the Omega Blaster, as far as I know so far, is the only thing that can destroy the Emmy's near impenetrable armor. Once the Emmy is destroyed, the Omega Blaster goes offline. So that is now a twofold thing we could work with. One, I should have gone through the door. Let me go through the door really quick. That's a twofold thing now. Is one, the Omega Blaster is offline. Two, this area we're in that was considered Emmy territory is now safe territory. The Emmy's gone. Nothing can hurt us in this area outside of standard enemies, if they exist. And three, what I feel so far is going to be the flow of this game is explore ZDR, come into areas which on the map that are Emmy areas will be indicated by this gray pattern, whereas like normal areas will be this blue pattern. Emmy areas will be this grayish pattern. But yeah, find the Emmy area, find the central core within the Emmy area to destroy the Emmy in probably increasingly difficult manners, to then make the Emmy area safe to explore and proceed forward from there. I feel like that's going to be kind of the gameplay loop. But with that long intro, I think I'm going to call the first episode here. Everyone, thank you so much for watching this blind playthrough of Metroid Dread. And come back next time when maybe we'll actually get to the blind part. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll see you folks then. Take care.